Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Chisme con Propósito. I am your host, Janet Telles, and today we have a special guest with us. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hey everybody, I'm Kimberly Romano, and thank you for having me today.
All right, Kimberly. Well, I don't know if you've tuned in to some of our episodes, which I hope you have. But along the way, we talk about how we grew up and our struggles as Latinos and basically our career options through our struggles. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you grew up, how you identify, and everything.
Yeah, so I'm Kim. I was born in Astoria, Queens. Soy hija de inmigrantes mexicanos y de mucho orgullo. My mom is from Puebla, my dad is from Guerrero. We've always been in Queens ever since I can remember. When my parents met, they decided that Astoria was going to be their home. My mom was originally a gal from Bushwick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had actually grown up in Brooklyn, but I got Queens. No, Queens is great though. And since the beginning of time, mi mamá le gustaba bailar. So that's really where I think my journey with my career begins. My mom wasn't able to dance back in Mexico, so when she finally had me, she was like, "¿Sabes qué? I'm gonna go, te voy a llevar al ballet," and she did.
Actually, fun fact, my mom as a little child, my sister was in ballet also. And then they put me into jazz and everything. And I was like, modern. So a lot of dance is embedded in the Mexican culture.
I think so. Like de por sí, because there's so many bailes folclóricos in Mexico, you know, and they didn't have the opportunity due to socioeconomic status. But, as soon as they had the opportunity, she said, my kid is doing arts. We couldn't find a school back then for baile folclórico, but we did for ballet. So that's actually how I got my start in the arts. Yeah. So I have done dance. Eventually, I went to a performing arts high school for musical theater. I'm really more of a theater kind of gal.
Okay.
And I kind of branched into playwriting and directing, which is really my mero mole. That's really, really what I like.
Wow. And are you still practicing? Are you still in the struggle of striving to become a screenwriter, a director, or?
I don't do it as much as I'd like. Okay. I write on my own free time. De vez en cuando tengo chance, I go to a playwriting class, but I don't do it as a career, which I want to leave the door open for that.
I think that's so great because it gives you the chance, everybody gives you the chance of being like, hey, I can do my 9 to 5 and I can do something on the side that is my passion and do whatever I want with it until I can achieve wherever my goals are.
100%. I think that more people need to hear that, a veces las circunstancias no se prestan, but you need to just give yourself some grace and find a way to wiggle back into what you like. So I'm reconnecting de poquito a poquito, but I'm getting in there. I'm not done yet.
I think that's all that matters, that you're still going. So talking about what is it that you do for your technical 9 to 5?
Okay. So I am a marketing coordinator for the legal tech sector by day, and by night I'm a dreamer and a schemer. So let me tell you a little bit, I guess, about my life story.
Okay.
I went to undergrad to Geneseo for theater and for poli-sci. The poli-sci was really just as a backup because my parents were like, how are you going to get a job with theater degrees and blah, blah, blah. So it's you know what? I did it to appease them. I don't regret it. Pero I did graduate with the intention of going into theater professionally, trying to become an artistic director eventually. Y mi mamá, al año que me gradué, she got sick. And then my dad left.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at that point, I had to switch gears. I was I clearly need to become someone who is able to put my 9 to 5 to use, meaning I need to belt out this money, all these bills and things like that. And I kind of put the stop button en mi carrera, en lo que yo quería hacer. So I want to think ahorita que ya ha pasado un poquito de tiempo. It's been 3 years. Mi mamá thankfully got over the cancer.
Amen.
Amen. Y ya vamos caminando pa'lante. O sea, we're getting rid of the medical debt. Yes. O sea, this is the reconstruction era.
Yes.
And I got into therapy earlier this year y siento que like empecé a soñar otra vez.
Oh my God. It's so like when you're in a dark time, just to even see light at the end of the tunnel is something so important, because I think it gives you drive to keep going. It's I can't imagine what you've been through, but also like just climbing out of a dark hole is a lot within itself.
Yeah, on all sectors, because when you're when you're watching a loved one, first off, they get sick, you kind of put all of your emotions on the back burner. I didn't even ask myself for the past 5 years what I wanted, o sea, what I felt, ¿cómo estás? It was more like, what do I need to do? Is this done? Who do I need to speak to? It's always like the next thing, right? And you're like you're belting it out. You're kind of pushing things, making sure that everything and everyone is taken care of. So about a year and a half ago, I was like, I can't keep going this way. First off, my artistic self is not being fulfilled, right? Because there's all these dreams, and behind this, person who is now this competent adult, there's still that little girl that like, ¿qué es lo que haces para alimentar tu alma?
Yeah.
What are you doing, in your free time? ¿Y tus sueños, qué pasó con eso? O sea, so all of that, I was like, we need to begin to rework it.
Yeah.
But I felt for the longest time, I was like, I don't even know how to go about like starting. O sea, that in of itself is also like a big like a lap that nobody talks about.
How did you get started, if you don't mind me asking?
I went back to my roots. I did a 3-week vacation in Mexico. I went to Los Altos de Chiapas.
Okay.
And Chiapas, for those of you who don't know, it's all the way in the southern part of Mexico, and it's the home to Mayan culture. When I was in undergrad, I had directed a play for my senior year. It was a children's play about the Pulvu, which is the Mayan story of how like the earth got created. So I was like, I'm taking it back. This is for me.
Yeah.
This time was just, I spent 3 weeks like looking at trees, looking at the Mayan jungle, engaging and learning as much as I could about the Mayan culture in that southern part of Mexico. Dije, me voy a dar la oportunidad de volver a renacer.
Sí.
And like con todo lo verde de Chiapas me llenó con energía. That when I came back, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm terrified, pero voy a volver a renacer.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit like the forest when it burns down. Like we're cultivating here.
Yeah.
From barren land to like lush greenery.
You had the fire burning inside of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So with doing plays, like bringing it back to the culture, wanting to be a playwright, did you ever think of making books for kids or any of that? Like, because you talk about plays and children and getting to know the culture, and it seems like from this point of view, when you guys watch this, your face brightens up anytime you talk about like your passion for the arts and for the culture, and basically instilling both things into one.
Yeah, I think that first off, for theater, everyone's is different, right? Your niche. What do you like to do? I really enjoy directing plays, but I like specifically the idea of theater for children, because it's permission to revisit your childhood.
Okay.
So, going back a little bit to like my parents' marriage, he may have left after the cancer, but this was really like a long time coming. And I remember that growing up, no había tiempo como de jugar. So for me, what my theater does for me is this ability to like revisit one's childhood. You're kind of like giving yourself the opportunity to play that had not been there before. And
I've never thought of theater in that way.
Nobody does, but that's what it is. It's a play, and it's permission to play, know, and it's this opportunity to revisit. And I'm also just, I feel like I'm a little quirky, I'm a little goofy.
Yeah.
Children's theater allows for all of that. You don't have to, I find that childhood is the greatest gift, especially to adults who didn't get to live one. You know, if you have this ability to just get over your fear of being seen, allow yourself, you know, to jugar,
Yeah.
you know, all of this opens up the door for you to kind of heal that inner child, you know.
I think when you said that, I immediately thought Disney World, where everybody goes, where they have the opportunity to like go have fun and be a kid again, and at least for that one day where you're enjoying everything.
Yeah, you know, and you suspend like any of like your adult notions of like what should I be by a certain age. None of that matters in childhood, right?
Yeah.
You know, if anything, you look to the future with brightness. You know, and to bring it back to your original point, for me, like this is what it really presents. I'm exploring my culture, you know, like toda la niñez de mis papás, the stories that they grew up with, but not through the lens of my own childhood. Yeah. And then this urge, this sense of, you know, play, you know, I'm able to like reconcile those two concepts together, you know. So you're both learning a little bit about your history, pero también you're figuring out your role in that, you know, and how you want to keep that alive en el mundo de hoy.
I have a question. When you think of theater, sometimes I think triple threat, dance, acting. Acting, dancing, and
singing.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. So, do you do any of those? Are you, besides being like, because it seems to be like you definitely like to be behind the scenes.
I am. I'm a director girly. I like pulling the strings. I'm not chente, unfortunately. I don't sing like that. I don't sing unless I'm forced. You know, even las mañanitas, you'll find me like in the back. You know, like bien callada.
¿Porque no puedes o porque no quieres?
Las dos, pues. O sea. No, in all seriousness, I like singing. I don't have much training. O sea, sí me presto as an ensemble member, pero así que sea like your own lead, no, tampoco. When I would do all these shows in high school and college, honestly, I was an ensemble girly. Okay. You know, and then the only place where that switches is for theater. I think I make a very good actor, actually. You know, at that point, I don't mind being a lead, but for, you know, singing, la verdad, no. Catch me outside. Like, that's not my forte.
How about the dancing? You said your mom had you in dancing as a young girl. When did it start? Like, and how did it evolve? Because if there's one thing, just like you've been talking about reconstruction and you've gone through a lot, from your mother getting sick, from tragedies that happened in your personal life, like you mentioned it perfectly. You're in this era of reconstruction for your life. So as a dancer and as living in life, how are you evolving?
Yeah, art as a form of resistance and as a form of healing, it's what's saving me. Porque after she got sick, you know, everything was put on hold, you know, and we got through that, you know, first thing, lo primero era lo primero. Sí. Now I'm living in a year where I'm like, okay, everything's a little bit more controlled. I have more freedom to think about other things. You know, in January, I started therapy. I started doing playwriting classes casually. New York City is a great spot to be able to do all these things, you know. And for dancing, I haven't gone back to ballet, jazz, tap, you know, modern, all of the things that I used to do as a kid in formal training. Pero I do go out and dance a bunch of cumbia sonideras, you know. Wow. Eso es bueno para el alma.
Okay, sonidera.
Yes.
Cumbia sonidera. I have a cousin who's a DJ and does cumbia sonidera.
Are you related to Hello Tones?
No.
Okay, he's el hijo de Puebla, York. Shameless plug. You know? I love him. He's good. I try to go to his events. And there's a lot of people in New York City que de por sí, this is a good city for las cumbias.
Really?
Yeah, so like la cumbia is like super popular in Puebla,
Yes.
la Ciudad de México, o sea, ahí se baila un montón. So we brought it over. The Mexican diaspora in New York City does a really good job of maintaining la cumbia alive.
If there's one thing at a Mexican party, if you don't dance cumbia, you better get on it and start dancing. I know there's a lot of people that are now doing introduction to cumbia classes, like intermediate levels. I think we spoke about it like at one point in Queens on 34th Avenue, they were doing free cumbia classes for people on. They would block off a certain street. My fiance actually once went with my sister, and they had such a great time.
Yeah, there has to be a way to make community. And I really suggest that whatever you like, you seek out a group, and find your people.
Yeah.
I think that's the way that I've been digging myself out of this dark hole. I needed to go find others who like doing the same things, because at that point you've already established it's like we're here to share in our, humanity and our love for culture. So there's no pretending there, and you're not draining your social battery.
No.
On the contrary, o sea, te estás renovando.
Yeah.
I come alive with these cumbias.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's a good form of exercise, actually.
Yeah.
Getting your endorphins out there, because let me tell you, I've danced in my younger lifetime. When they go on for 5 minutes, I'm like, y voy de vuelta, y de vuelta. And I'm like, dizziness. But it's so much fun. Like, I think even now, have you ever heard of the little markets that they have in Brooklyn with food, and people are dancing, and they have cumbia inside. They have chinelos also sometimes coming and dancing. I love chinelos.
Yes.
Love chinelos.
I think that's like a staple, right? Of es cultura compartida entre Michoacán y Puebla.
Yeah.
So it's again like a beautiful display of resistance, especially in this political climate. O sea, we're here, the diaspora existe, and we refuse to be silent.
No, yeah.
We're going to take up space.
I think one thing that I did notice, with your family, I'm so glad that they didn't shut the light on theater, because I sometimes think about it, and I think if that were my mom, she'd be like, you're not going to be able to do something. Go get something else. Like, wouldn't even let me touch it in that case. But, like, just to allow you to be you and express your feelings, your emotions through art, which is what you essentially love.
Yeah. I think it's a really good topic to touch upon, especially for Latinos. My maternal grandmother, unfortunately, was not very supportive of like my mom's dreams. Mi mamá quería bailar en la escuela, y mi abuelita le decía, no, esas cosas no se hacen. O sea, we're not those kinds of people.
Yeah.
And my mom, when she had me, this was like one of the first things she said, I hated that. And if you want to dance, and if you want to act, and if you like this, o sea, hazlo. Pero hazlo con ganas y hazlo bien.
Sí.
O sea, date la oportunidad de crecer y expandir, And it's kind of like a lesson in generational trauma, It's true, my mom did not get this opportunity. She could have been the same way. And she said, no, o sea, aquí vamos a cambiar la historia.
Sí.
So, and I feel like I want to carry that on too, if my sisters ever want to do something, even if I didn't do it, this is the opportunity for you to go and encourage people around you. O sea, ¿qué te gusta? ¿Qué te agrada? Because my mom was a dancer. I'm really more of a theater girly.
Yeah.
But still, o sea, se comparte, And this is, I think, a story that I think more Latinos need to hear. Is like, ¿te gusta algo? Even if it's going against conventions, date la oportunidad.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? What's the worst that can happen?
Honestly, the only person in between you and your dream is yourself. And you can either decide. And one thing, what's beautiful about your story is just because it came to a pause for a short period of time did not mean it was the end. That you can always pick it up when things start settling, because it's understandable. Sometimes you need to take care of certain things that need to prioritize for a short period of time, that doesn't mean we forget about it. And I hope, like, if someone is out there who has forgotten about a dream or any of that, that it's up to you to pick it back up whenever you're ready and the means are there for you to pick it up. And if not, and if you choose to, that's the end of that story, the next generation that follows to do better and being like, hey, I couldn't do it, but you can. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Would you say that you enjoy like your 9 to 5, but what you definitely enjoy more about your 9 to 5 is that it allows you to cultivate your dreams and still working towards it, because you have your regular 9 to 5, but you're still working on your passions and your dreams to become a playwright?
Yeah, I think so. My 9 to 5, I really appreciate it because I am learning a ton. You know, legal tech continues to expand. You know, I'm hoping to also turn that into a career. But there isn't, you know, it's not all there is to me.
Yeah.
You know, and what my 9 to 5 really allows me to do is that una vez saliendo, o sea, I have the means to be able to go and explore these dreams of mine. You know, especially in New York City and after the pandemic, we have to sit here and carve out opportunities, you know. I would argue that you had to do that before the pandemic, but especially now, like funding is down for the arts. So, you know, sometimes life is about creating the door when nobody, you know, opens it for you, you know. So to me, you know, I'm always looking for personas con quien, you know, let's bring these ideas to the screen, you know, vamos a ver lo que sucede. My favorite thing son los ensayos, because this is a playground, you know, and you can't treat it like a final product. You have to allow yourself to, you know, come together and see what comes of your time.
Yeah.
You know, so only then can the magic really be created and, you know, seen and felt by the audience.
Honestly, that's so incredible. Wait, hold up. Just to get back into one little point. How did you end up with everything that happened, with the circumstances that came across? How did you get into tech? And was it like, oh, by accident you stumbled upon it, and then from there I was like, because you sound like, I feel like a lot of artistic people, and they're on the grind. They always have to work to make the dream come true for them.
Yeah. Well, to that last point, I think needs to be emphasized, because I'm telling you, entertainment is a field that's huge. I feel like a lot of people want to get in on it. And also it depends on the final goal. For me, it's not about becoming, in my case, famous. I just, like I said, I want to play. You know, I'm trying to heal through art. And I'm looking for people who want to do that too. So to me, it's about making friends and making connections. Are you interested, you know, in revisiting your childhood with me? Let's go on this journey. Let's figure out, you know, lo que sale, you know. I'm looking for your 13-year-old self to connect with my 13-year-old self. You know, me and my Oshkosh overalls and my sneakers that light up. I do definitely think that with tech, it matters also a lot with friends, honestly. I think they go hand in hand, actually. Like, tu comunidad really determines over, like, how things are going to play out. Because I was not in tech, had no connections to tech, but my buddy would do some freelance work. And she was the same person who put me onto that job. She's like, they're looking for a permanent marketing coordinator. You never know. A ver qué tal. Yeah.
Wow. The simple fact that you knew somebody, your networking, your opportunities came knocking at your door, and just even getting a glimpse of, like, having honestly the taste of both worlds. Both worlds. What would you say to anybody who is out there, who has two dreams in their life, or how to manage that, or what, if you were to do it again, what would you do different?
Yeah, I think for anybody who is a multifaceted individual, and I think that's so many of us, I do not think that you have to choose between one or the other. I really think that you can live out multiple lives within this one that nos toca, you know, because life is too short que te quedes con las ganas, right? You know, si tú tienes un sueño, find a way to like bring it to life as best as you can, you know. And the lesson that I'm learning, escobazos, but I'm learning, is that you have to have a ton of grace for yourself, because some people don't even try. And we're out here, you know, making it happen. And sometimes it doesn't look the way we want. We had a certain notion in your head.
Yeah.
You have to, you know, forgive yourself. We're over here, you know, the earth is not perfect. You know, you see like jungles, but when you look in closely, all sorts of roots are sticking out.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I think that's like a really good, you know, example of like también cómo se trabajan los sueños. It's not crystal perfect, clear, you know, todo va a estar un poco desorganizado, pero it's organic and it's good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what growth should be.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You know? I think there's like this great saying that like, I'm probably gonna butcher it, pero mi mamá siempre me dice que los cerros se les caen las hojas y aún así la próxima primavera vuelven a enverdecer. You know, and it's like a good metaphor. Sometimes in life, o sea, things happen, winter comes, but this too shall pass, you know, and the spring is, you know, it's inevitable. So when it does arrive, what do you want to do with it?
Yeah. And I just said this like probably a few days ago. When you see things in a reoccurring stage, how are you going to plan for next year to be successful then? And what can you do every single year to be better? Because it's the same thing we work in our lives. We strive to be the better version of ourselves each and every single time. And nomás vivimos una vez. Give yourself grace because you're also living life for the very first time. And hey, nothing is set in stone. We make those decisions for us.
Yes. That's been a lesson in my journey too. You know, there's in the attempt to become this great woman and meet your destiny, meet all the things that have happened, right? Because I didn't exactly, you know, I didn't choose to become the head of my house. It happened. You know, what do we want to do with the circumstances that were placed?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm finding the balance between being this person that I need to be y también quién quiero ser yo, you know. Ideally, even before everything had happened, you know. I'm finding like a happy medium. And I know for sure a non-negotiable for me is finding my art again.
Yeah.
O sea, I todavía, and let me tell you, I'm like at the early stages. This is really my reconstruction era. You know, less than a year ago, if you had told me I'd be here in about a year, I tell you, no way. I'm in no position, no shape. Emotionally, I'm in the drain, you know. Yeah. Pero I think it's the power of like just taking little steps consistently. O sea, you'd be surprised cuánto avanzas when you allow yourself to really just let me grow, let me give myself grace. We get there when we get there, you know, and vamos a seguir caminando pa'lante.
I think we had one of our previous guests, and she basically did the analogy of a cup. You can't keep giving because you can't keep filling. You have to fill your own cup to be able to fill other people's cups. Because along the way, if you don't continuously water yourself, you are going to burn out. And then you need to find that way to be able to fill your own cup to continuously fill others.
Yeah, you sound like my therapist.
Actually, my sister's a therapist.
My therapist is this wonderful person, and she's like, you need to slow down. And I'm like, I need to speed up, Jennifer. What do you mean? You know, and she's like, no, así no funciona la cosa, porque para de verdad poder, you know, to go the distance and go and make these great strides, if you don't learn how to put yourself first, o sea, you're never going to, you know, aguantar, o sea, ayudarle a los demás. And she's like, for a person, and I feel like, right, Latino culture, we're very family oriented.
Yes.
You know, so para poder echarle la mano a los que más queremos, you got to put on the life vest first. Yeah. Y ya después we can start talking about what we can do for others. Y, o sea, como, you know, how to be of service to our community, right?
100%. And eventually giving back to our community. But it's great to see that You're honestly at the beginning, and we would love to definitely have you back when along the time to just see your growth and what you've done. And honestly, this was great. It was great to have you.
Thank you for having me. I think it's an exciting time for anybody else going through it. Today's a great day to just begin to reconstruct the life that you want. This is the one life we get, o sea, hay que echarle ganas y a ver a dónde nos lleva la vida.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster ride, guys. This is definitely life in a different lens for a lot of people. Because I definitely hope one day, like as a pharmacist, like 9 to 5, but being able to explore my passion for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and giving individuals the opportunity that they can see whatever they want in front of their eyes. And it just comes to show that even in unconventional dreams, you can still make it happen. And we want to thank you so much for being here. I don't know if you have a Echale Ganas quote, or because what you just said right now was so beautiful. So if you want, do you have an Echale Ganas quote?
Yeah, I think whatever you do it with authenticity, do it with passion, and be relentless in pursuing these dreams, because nobody knows what you're capable of except you. And even then, you'd be surprised, right, at what your journey could be. So hazlo de échale ganas con todo el corazón, and before you know it, the forest will be, at your feet, blooming.
Well, thank you so much. But I do have a few things to say. Échale ganas all the time, anywhere you go. But together with the team here at Chisme con Propósito, we're here to shine light on Latino stories and how we stay embedded in our culture. And we have the opportunity, if you guys would like, to share your story on our link tree. We will be having a little survey for anyone who would like to be a guest, anybody who would like to share their story. Come have a conversation with us. Have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or whatever you would like. But definitely come and share the story, because we can't do this without you. And we want you to be a part of this journey. And we can't wait to see you for the next episode in 2 weeks.